and welcome to my channel if you're new. If you're not, welcome back. I'm Mindy, and today I am the host of Storytime. I haven't told a story time in a very long time, so forgive me if I'm a little rusty, but I wanted to share my horrible, most horrible wisdom tooth extraction surgery experience. It was bad. I got my wisdom teeth all pulled, all four of them, at the same time about 10 years ago now. And you would think I would be over the experience, but no. So, shall we get into it? So this all started at my dentist's office. And I will just say, I am not a fan of dentists, like, at all. Of all the doctors that I have to see, dentists are my worst enemy. I don't necessarily have horrible teeth. I think I've only had like 4 cavities in my entire life, but I just don't like dentists. It's something about, it's not the people, but people poking and prodding around in your mouth, and then you're like, okay, it's going on, and they somehow understand you, and it's, when your throat gets sore because, I just don't, it's not me at all. I don't like it. Dentists, all of you out there, I respect your profession, but my God. Ooh, I hate going. This time, I was told, you know what, it's time, your wisdom teeth are starting to peek through, we should get them taken out. So, like the ever conscientious patient that I am, I said, okay, great. He said, do you know if you would want to be put under, or if you just want to do it like with freezing in my office? And I said, no. You want me put under for this because God knows. And he said, okay, fine, great. Let's get you a referral to a doctor and you can set it up. So I got that referral and I went to the doctor, and my dad was with me at the time because I was like 16. And this should have been my first inkling that something may go wrong here, but he tried to talk me out of not being put under, and I thought, no, that's why I'm here. I want to be put under, because if I am not, like, you're not even gonna get one tooth pulled, and this is gonna be even more traumatic. And then he tried to explain to me that, I wouldn't be able to eat for the 24 hours beforehand, like, big whoop. And to me, I'm like, I know that. And I think I even told him, like, I know that, like, I've done this before. And my dad had said, yeah, she's been around the block a few times. She's had a few different surgeries. And if you want to know about those surgeries, I'll link a video in the cards here, or a playlist up there somewhere. But nevertheless, he said, okay, fine, you can be put under. And I went and made the appointment for surgery to be November 1st. And the only reason I remember that is because it was the day after Halloween, and I couldn't have any Halloween candy over Halloween, which didn't bug me, like, at all. Other than it kind of sucked, but, like, I wasn't, like, jonesing for it or anything. And my mom figured that would be perfect because we had this weird a few days off from school where, like, we went to school for the morning of one day, got the afternoon off, had the weekend, and then we only had to go for the morning or afternoon of the next Monday. So she figured, okay, if we put it there, then you won't have to miss as much school. And they tell us that you're going to be, fine to go back to school after 4 or 5 days anyway. So I figured, okay, great. Now, my mom also didn't have a great wisdom tooth extraction experience, but I figured, okay, I'm not her. I'm not going to let her experience define me, and I'm just going to do this because I do every other surgery. So the day came, November 1st, and I remember thinking to myself, like, the surgery was at like 10, so I thought, okay, that's like late enough that they would have had a chance to have like a couple of cups of coffee, but it's still early enough that they should be like on top of their game, right? You would think. But they're doctors, so you would think they should always be on top of their game when they're operating on people and people's mouths, especially when their mouths is one of their most important, assets. So before I went in, I remember asking the doctor, like, okay, what's the recovery time like? Like, will I, swell up like a balloon like my mom did? And he said, it'll be a few days, but you'll be able to eat solid soon enough, and no, you shouldn't swell up. If you swell up, it'll be a little bit, but it won't be a lot. So I took that for what it was, and I went into the operating room, and I was, good morning, hi everybody, because, that's how I enter operating rooms, and I actually do enter like that, because I feel like if I'm positive and nice and happy, hopefully they're positive and nice and happy. Get on the table, and they go to put the IV in, like in your hand, so that they can put you under. And mind you, this was done at some kind of clinic. Like, I was used to surgeries being done at like a children's hospital or something, but this was done at some kind of clinic, and I thought, okay, it's a little bit interesting, but maybe that's how they do adults, like, operations. I don't know. So I got on the table, and they go to put the IV in, and they took one stick, didn't work, so they took another stick, didn't work, so they went to the other hand, took another stick, didn't work, took another stick, didn't work. This went on for like 8 or 9 pokes, okay? And I'm, pretty good with pain, and I wasn't necessarily like mad or crying or anything, but even the nurses were starting to feel like bad for me, and I remember one saying, like, get it in this time. For this poor girl, she's like been poked and prodded enough. And they did get it in eventually after, I think, like the 9th try. And again, I should have taken this as my second omen. As I was going under, the last thing I saw, and I'm not being dramatic, the last thing I saw was blood like running down my hands. And I thought, oh, this is not going to be good. I wake up from the anesthetic, however, maybe an hour and a half later, and I don't wake up from anesthetic well. Like, it takes me a while, but I'm not like vomiting or anything. So I'm used to, when you kind of come out of surgery and you're in the recovery room, like your parents are there, especially when you're a kid or something. But my dad wasn't there, but I figured I knew exactly where he was, so I was like, okay. But I was still like in and out of it. So I, again, kind of dazed, but they're like, oh, hello, how are you? And I'm like, nah, nah, nah. And then all of a sudden they're telling me, okay, you can get into this chair now. And I'm like, what? I like just woke up, right? Like and I'm not even really up. Like, I just opened my eyes. I'm still, half in, half out of this anesthetic coma they put me in. And somehow they got me to this big chair they had at the end of the bed. And so I'm sitting in this chair, and I sat there for maybe all of like 5 minutes, and they said to me, okay, now you can get your stuff and, you know, go. Like, you can meet your dad out there, you can go. And they started telling me, like, the post-op instructions of, like, don't eat yogurt, try to avoid, like, anything with chunks in it for the next, like, 12 hours, you're gonna need to change the bandages, like, all of those types of things. And I remember them saying, we know you're not gonna remember this, so we also are gonna tell your dad. And in my head, I'm like, who the heck do you think you are to think that I'm not going to remember something? I obviously, if you think I'm with it enough to be leaving here, I should be able to remember something. But I went to this changing room, and mind you, again, I'm 16, so I didn't think, like, you know, you got to stand up for yourself, Mindy. You've got to say, like, no, I barely just woke up. I'm not even, you know, in a coherent state of mind yet. I'm not leaving. So I somehow got my clothing on and stuff. And I say somehow because, quite honestly, I think I fell asleep like 2 or 3 times in the dressing room trying to, like, get myself together. But I remember walking out, and my dad saw me, and he just came right to me and scooped me up because he realized, like, she's not with it. She's not, like, in this. I don't know how she's even really walking right now. But he picked me up, and he pretty much carried me to his van. And it was only once, like, he was sort of halfway out the door and halfway to the car that they offered him a wheelchair, and he's like, well, no, I'm already halfway there. And so I remember being in and out of it on the way home, but I was with it enough to realize that we were passing a Dairy Queen, and my dad had said, after your surgery, I'll get you a Blizzard. So I was like, Dad, the Blizzard, get the Blizzard. Because, you know, my 16-year-old self, that's all I really want. And he was like, he didn't really want to, but at the same time, he was like, well, okay. And he had just dedicated himself to the fact that he was going to, like, pick out all the little toppings or something. Great dad he is. So I got home, and I remember him calling my mom and being like, you need to come home now. She's not even, like, with it. I have to keep, like, waking her up to try and change these bandages. Like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And I also couldn't talk normally because, of course, I was frozen. So I was trying to talk, and all that was kind of coming out was, like, jibber jabber and drool. So, because, you know, wisdom tooth. So my parents and my siblings were trying to stop me from talking, but it, like, anybody who knows me knows that, like, I can't stop talking. That doesn't happen for me. I was still talking, and eventually it took about 6-8 hours before I was, like, really what I would call in a coherent state of mind. But then I realized, oh, like, I'm not just, like, swelling, like, I'm, like, huge. And, but my mom kind of expected this, so the next few days were all about, you know, just doing a lot of the liquid diet stuff. But we called the doctor and we said, like, you know, she's like really swollen and whatever, and he was like, oh yeah, sorry, I don't know. But the story goes on, because Monday or Tuesday I went back to school, and I really shouldn't have been back at school. Like, I was still on some pretty heavy pain meds, but my family is very big into like education and school and not missing classes. So I was going whether I wanted to or not. And I had this lunch that was like a banana and maybe like some pudding or something. And I couldn't even really finish the banana or like really bite into it. It was so painful. So I should have taken another day off. I eventually got over the swelling with the nickname of Chip, like Chipmunk, for the next like half of the year because I was that big, like big and swollen. I'm so glad I got all 4 done at the same time, because had I just had 2 done, I would not have gone back for the other 2. Like, that was horrible. Like, of all of my surgeries, that is the worst one. The worst one. And I've had surgeries on my back, on my ankles, on my hips, on my eyes, and I've got braces and all kinds of things, but my God, that was bad. Anyway, that's my story time for today. If you would like to hear any other types of story times, leave a comment down below. And if you want to know more about me, this card should tell you about that. As always, guys, keep pushing, and I will see you in the next one.